Hello and welcome to Top Gear. So, for those of you that guessed the correct answer in the previous video, congratulations, you won my respect and I'm impressed, I guess. For those of you that guessed it incorrectly, that's okay, that's fine, that's how you learn. So, like you guessed it correctly, it's the all-new Ninja 650 and I thought about it. And when you look at the Ninja 400, all of its competitors sit about 2 or more than 2 lakhs below it. So if you can compare it to motorcycles that sit 2 lakhs below it, I think it's only fair that you can compare it to a motorcycle that sits 2 lakhs above it. So as it stands, the ex-showroom price of the Ninja 400 is 5,19,000 and the ex-showroom price for the Ninja 650 is about 7,12,000. So not exactly 2 lakhs, but yeah, you know, close. So yeah, that's essentially the thing. Alright, so now to talk about the Ninja 400 and the Ninja 650. They both are part of the same family, they both are sports tourers, but both take a slightly different approach to sports touring. You see, one seems to focus a bit more on the touring side and one seems to focus a bit more on the sporty side. I'm here to tell you about which one comes closest to it, and I'm going to tell you which one I prefer at the end of the video. We're going to weigh in their pros and cons, and if you agree with my opinion and you agree with the points I make, great, let me know in the comment section below. If you do not agree with it, you don't have to tell me, but you're free to tell me if you want to. But yeah, alright. So, since you've already, I'll give you a brief rundown. If you'd like to know about the Ninja 650, click on the link above over here. That should give you a rough idea. My colleague Anant has done a video on it quite recently, you guys must have seen it. If you would like to know about the Ninja 400, click on the link above, and I've done a video quite recently and that's probably how you found this, but yeah, go check those out, get yourself up to speed with the Ninja 650 and the 400 because I'm not going to go over the points that I've already iterated. I'm going to talk about them in comparison. So let's go from the start to the finish, front to back. Okay, starting with the ergonomics. Now in terms of ergonomics, the Ninja 650 is a bit more comfortable. It is set up to be a bit more lazy. It's the lazy boy of the two in the sense it's got a lot more cushion in its seat. It has, the pillion seat is a lot more plush. It's a lot more evenly, whereas over here, as you can tell, the pillion seat is on a different floor. It's also a lot thinner, the material over here. And now, again, the 650. What more does it get over the 400 apart from the engine? It gets traction control, it gets a TFT, it gets better brakes, better suspension. I mean, theoretically, to its weight, it gets better brakes and better suspension, but when you actually use the bike, it's not the same story. Now, when it comes to sheer engine performance, sure, the 650 is very capable. But when you actually go and look at their power figures and you convert and do the math and do the power to weight ratio, you soon realize that they're very similarly matched. Now, one thing that's worth noting is that a lot of the performance that you see on these motorcycles is largely limited to their tires. I personally don't like the tires you get on either motorcycle. My colleague Anant would agree with me because after riding both of these motorcycles back to back, this is the experience that we had where so both of them are using Dunlops. This one's using a set of Dunlop Sport Maxes, 110 in the front, 150 in the rear. While this one is using a set of Dunlop Road Sport 2, it's a 120 size front and 160 size rear. So again, in terms of grip, I do find them lacking quite a lot, especially if you're trying to ride them enthusiastically. If you're even cruising or touring around and going for a tour in the roads, let's say you're riding on a cement road, when you whack open the throttle on the 650 because you have a lot more torque, it's easy to slip. When you brake really hard, the tires sometimes have difficulty biting. In fact, if you click on the link above, you can check out my comparison between the Triumph Tiger Sport and the Kawasaki Versus 650. In case you're looking at something a bit more adventure friendly, then that would be in that category. So go check that out. And you'll notice that we had the same problem with the Versus where the tires just didn't seem to cut it. So anyone that buys either of these motorcycles, that's the first thing I'd recommend is that you get a new set of tires for yourself. Now, that being said, let's talk about the rest of the motorcycle. Now, I already told you how comfortable the 650 is. Ergonomically, it's a bit more relaxed, easygoing, whereas the 400 has you leaned forward slightly a bit more. The seat's a bit thinner. It seems like it's built for a bit more of an aggressive stance in comparison, not by a long shot, by a small shot, but still nonetheless. In terms of aesthetics, again, it's down to your personal taste. From the front, they both look similar, they both are quite bulky. From the rear, the 650 is a bit more bulbous, whereas the 400 is a bit sleeker. And if you ask me personally in terms of appearance, I prefer the looks of the 400 than the 650. The only thing I like about the 650 a bit more is the fact that its tire is broader, so it just sits with the proportions of the motorcycle better, whereas on the 400 it looks a bit skinnier. That being said, again, on the 650 you get massive grab rails and a massive sari guard that can fetch you a fortune at your nearest Raddi wala. But let's just say you only get rid of the sari guard and you keep the grab rails. They're a good mounting point for your luggage, whereas on the 400 you don't really seem to have a mounting point for your luggage. So you largely have to rely on mounting it on your foot pegs and little pieces over here around the tail tidy. That's all you have. So now to talk about wind protection. In terms of wind protection, they both are on par. Again, if you are going to be riding fast, if you are going to be touring long distances, I would advise you to get a different set of windscreen for either of these motorcycles. Now the Kawasaki 650 has, the Ninja 650 has a TFT, and it's quite nice, quite legible. It's well, decently animated. You also get traction control, so you can use the TFT to toggle through two different modes of traction control. But that being said, personally, I prefer the analog and part digital display. Mainly because I guess I'm a bit old school that way. For those of you people that seem to like technology a lot more, you'll appreciate the TFT. But I kind of like it this way because I like to watch the needle go and bounce off the top as opposed to watching, I don't know, something digital. So that's where my preference lies. But again, that's down to a personal preference, so let us know in the comment section if you feel otherwise. So additionally, you also get Bluetooth connectivity with the Ninja 650. It can connect to your phone and display a bunch of telemetrics and whatnot, but you don't get turn-by-turn navigation or anything useful that way. So yeah, and I mean, who the hell is going to look at the lean angle on a Ninja 650, right? But like, okay, I guess there are people out there. Now, let's get to the crux of it, right? The weight. Now, the weight is something that you would notice quite easily. They both are they both have short seat heights, so you won't have to feel too intimidated in case you're a shorter rider. But in terms of weight, now the dry weight of the Ninja 400 is about 168 kilos, whereas the dry weight over here is about 198 something, closer to 200 kilos basically. So about a 20, almost 30 kg difference between the two. And 15 litre tank, 14 litre tank. So factor those facts in and you realize that in terms of range, in terms of fuel efficiency, in terms of power to weight ratio, they are very similar, quite similar in fact. So you must ask, why is it that Kawasaki is selling both these motorcycles, and why is it that we have both these motorcycles? I mean, the 650 used to once upon a time be quite accessible. It was in fact one of the cheapest big bikes that you could get at some point. At some point, it was just the Ninja 650 and the Ducati Monster that you could get in India. And it was, I remember, being such an accessible, cheap, easy to buy bike, I mean, relatively speaking. But now look, the 400 has come such a long way. And my whole question to Kawasaki is that, why? Why are your smaller motorcycles priced so poorly? Be it the W175, the 400, the 300, the 650s, anything. The only motorcycle that you seem to price under the competition seems to be the ZX-10R. I mean, sure, the Versys also kind of undercuts its competition, but only because it misses out on a lot of things that its competition does. So I wish Kawasaki was a bit more fair to its buyers, because again, they're a premium brand, but the competition has just caught up in terms of pricing. And at this point, with both these motorcycles missing out on some crucial features that you would expect at this price point, I don't think they can continue justifying their price any further. I feel like after a point, the public's just gonna stop caring and gonna be like, okay, you know what? You need to start giving us a bit more value for our money. Because when it comes to service intervals, again, you're low on service intervals. You got a 5,000 kilometer service interval, whereas in most other motorcycles, you have a 8 or a 10,000 kilometer service interval, which means you have less frequent visits to the service center, which means you're spending less money on maintenance. And that is something you have to factor in with these motorcycles, is that you may save some money when you initially get into the brand, but later on, you will be spending some. Second gripe that I have with Kawasaki and their motorcycles is that, again, they look so generic, you know? I wish they did something to make it exciting. Don't get me wrong, the 400 is a sexy looking bike, but had this not been a Ninja 400, had we been talking about the liter class bike, and I could tell you that there's 5 other motorcycles in Kawasaki's lineup that look very similar and resemble this look, that could be a bit disappointing to you as a buyer. So I wish Kawasaki did, or played a bit more with the colors, you know, did something with the colors. You guys love playing with colors, Kawasaki. Just do something with the colors except for green and black. There are other colors in the spectrum too. But alright, phew. Jokes aside, criticism aside, me as a Kawasaki owner, I love this brand and I've been with my Kawasaki for quite a while. So this all comes out of a place of hope, and I'm a well-wishing and constructive criticism as opposed to me bashing the brand. I still think very highly of the brand. I mean, for Pete's sake, Kawasaki is doing way better than Yamaha is. What the hell is Yamaha up to, right? Nothing. And I mean, to a certain degree, they're kind of doing better than Suzuki also, if you think about it. So yeah, it's just them and Honda. The other Japanese people are kind of sleeping on this whole segment of motorcycles. Anyway, coming back to the point. Now, when it comes to both these motorcycles, sure, there's a different style. I think this is designed for a bit more of a matured audience. Mostly matured audience returning back to motorcycling after a long time, or matured audience stepping into the bigger bikes, or somebody that just wants to take that giant leap forward and skip all the smaller cc segment bikes to just go for something 650 and have something. Because quite frankly, this is a very easy to ride bike. It's very accessible. Sure, its weight and the fact that it's a bit top heavy can be the most intimidating aspect of it, and the tires. But apart from that, it's a very friendly motorcycle. It has a lot going for it and very little going against it. Now, in terms of handling, let me tell you, the Ninja 400 is way better than the 650. Like, the 650 is pretty good, but the Ninja 400 just etches slightly more. Think of this like a butcher's knife, and think of this like a Japanese chef's knife, you know? Be a lot more precise, slice and dice, whereas this is a bit more chop, chop and chop. So it's kind of like that. It's a bit more brutish with the way it delivers performance. It has a lot more torque, and a lot more of this torque is available lower down. So here you can access the torque for as low as 6,000 RPM, whereas here it only kicks in at 8,000 RPM. This one tops out at 10,000 RPM, whereas this one you can rev to about 13,000 RPM. So there's quite a difference in the way they behave in the character. Now, in terms of illumination with the headlamp, they're both the same. There's no difference. And when I say the same, they're both bad. But it's okay. If you like it, you like it. And if it does the job, I just wish the high beam was better. That's all. All right. So now that we've gone over the basics, and now there's no discussion about which one has the better brakes. This one has 2 discs in the front. This one brakes way better. There's no question about it. That being said, I am quite impressed with the brakes you have on the 400. They're not bad. They're pretty capable. So, I mean, this is better, definitely, but this is not that far behind. So when it comes to handling, I would give it to the Ninja 400. When it comes to equipment, I would give it to the 650 because, I mean, obviously you're paying more money, you get more. But do you get that much more? For 2 lakhs more, you're getting a better engine, more comfort, better electronics, better suspension, more weight also. So, yeah, I mean, to those of you out there that have the money to spend and is just looking for something that is fun on a straight line and once in a while knows how to turn and weave around corners, yeah, the 650 is an awesome motorcycle and it still justifies its existence given that sphere. But to all you enthusiasts out there, I would reckon that the 400 is a much better deal and a much better bargain than the 650. And I know, who the hell has ever called the Ninja 400 a bargain? But here I am, calling it a bargain. Alright, now the moment you guys have been waiting for. Don't think I forgot, the exhaust note. Alright, that's the 400. Like I said, it's a screamer. The 650 also loves to scream. Again, screamer, but also bassier. It's just that once you start riding them, this one tends to scream a lot more than this one does. So let us know in the comment section below which one you thought sounded better. And now for my verdict. So taking everything into consideration, including price, features, what you get with the motorcycle, there's a lot of things worth noting that the Kawasaki Ninja 400, despite its high price, misses out on a lot of things that you would expect. Like, for example, it To me, the suspension is good. It's just not that sophisticated for its price when you look at its competitors. It doesn't get traction control, it doesn't get a quick shifter, it doesn't get adjustable levers, which to me just felt a bit disappointing. And these are just few gripes, and I wish Kawasaki could fix them at this price range. With the 650, I think it has everything you really need. Yeah, but I don't really think you need traction control on the 650. I mean, the 650 has been doing just fine without traction control, even when it used to make more power before its BS4 and the BS6 avatar now came by. So yeah, a good set of tires on this motorcycle, and I highly doubt you'd ever need traction control. It's a good safety measure though, but still. So taking everything into consideration, for me, I find the Ninja 400 a lot more exciting, a lot more fun, and a lot more rewarding as a riding experience. But don't get me wrong, the 650 is still a safe bet. It's a good motorcycle. So you cannot go wrong in either way. It's just that you'll be spending more money on one compared to the other, and they're both significant amounts, let me tell you that. So let us know in the comment section below which one you think you like better and which one would be your pick. For me, it's the Ninja 400. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you liked our comparison and would like to see more of these in-house sibling rivalries amongst close competitors, let us know. This is Gavin Rodriguez signing off.